Hi all, and welcome to another Labbing It video. Today we're going to take a look at how we can air gap our backups using Veeam. Air gapping is now considered one of the key pillars to the 32110 methodology, whereby at least one copy of our backups should be air gapped away from our production environment. So one of the most popular ways of doing this is through the use of tape. Whilst most people might think that tape is an old technology, I still come across many organizations who still find tape a suitable and cost-effective backup target. So today we'll create a virtual tape library on an Ubuntu server using a software product called Quadstor. Quadstor has been around for many years, and I have found the product to be extremely useful for operating virtual tape libraries within Veeam. Quadstor will allow us to emulate vendor tape drives and libraries such as HPE and IBM. Once we've got our Quadstor server up and running and configured, we'll add the tape server role to our existing Veeam backup server. This will connect to our virtual tape library and will allow us to set up media pools and tape backup jobs. So let's get started. So just before we dive into the lab, just wanted to bring up the network diagram. On the left hand side there you can see a new virtual machine, or sorry, a new physical machine I guess for the purpose of this lab, called Mel-Tape. It's going to be running on Ubuntu 20.04, so similar to our Linux repository. We'll assign it an IP address on the network, and essentially once we've installed the Quadstor product, which will provide us the ability to emulate a tape library and some tape drives. We'll use the VBR server there in the middle. We'll create an iSCSI connection back to the Tape server, and basically the VBR server will load the tape library drivers and the tape drive drivers, and therefore probably pretty much allowing us to set up a tape server with tape backup jobs. So it's a pretty cool way to kind of learn how tape backups work in Veeam. So let's get into it and let's get Ubuntu up and running. Right, so the process is pretty similar to a previous video where I set up our Linux repository for Veeam. So we're pretty much going to do the same thing, but it's just going to be a slightly different setup. So we'll go into new virtual machine, go back and do a custom. I'll install the operating system later. This is a Linux Ubuntu 64-bit. Yep. And we'll call this Mel-Tape. I might store this somewhere different in on our drive. Let's just have a look. Probably what I might do, I might split this up across two places. So I'm going to install the OS on one of my these two are NVMe drives, and I think these two are SSD drives. So I might use the E drive for the operating system for now. So Mel-Tape E drive. Can't close that warning. Two processors. We'll give it 8 gig of memory. Just it's only a lab machine. We'll need to update the network. That's all fine. Add a new virtual disk. 20 gig is fine. Thin provisioned. Mel-Tape.vmdk is also fine. Just quickly customize the hardware. I need to change this to our Labbing at Melbourne LAN segment, and I will configure the ISO. So it's the Ubuntu 20.04.3, and close, finish. Okay. What I might do before I install actually no, it won't really matter. Let's add the drive. So this is going to run the quads. So this will run the operating system, the Ubuntu server, and we'll install the Quadstor software on this drive. But for the virtual tape library itself, so where we will store all the media, we'll dedicate a new disk, create a new, and I might just give it a terabyte in size. Store as a virtual single disk. The only difference here is I'm just going to put it somewhere else. Might store back. So this G drive is just a standard hard disk drive, so it's just a 4 terabyte hard drive. So I might just place it in here. I might call this meld tape. So I've got another that 1 terabyte repository on the Veeam backup recovery server stored in the same location. So I'm just going to put this one here as well and save it there. Done. So we've got the operating system drive on the E, which is an SSD drive, and then we've got the drive in which we are going to store our tape backups on. It's going to make a little bit more sense once we get into it, and that's going to be stored on our G drive. So let's power this up. Away we go. Usually this process doesn't take too long. Right, so already ready for installation, so we'll choose English. So this is just, so I'm just controlling this through my keyboard. Obviously there's no mouse control, so it's just using the arrows, a mixture of arrows, tabs, spaces, and enters. So enter here. We'll continue without updating, so that's highlighted, so enter again. And we're happy with the layout and the variants of English US. So I'm just going to tab now to change or update the IP address. So I tab till I get ENS33. It might be a little bit different on your machine. And then I hit the spacebar. And then I use the arrows to edit IPv4. Hit the spacebar again, which brings up this window. I'm hitting the spacebar again, and we're going to change that to manual. So away from DHCP into manual mode. The subnet is 192.168.10.0/24. With Ubuntu, you have to draw the subnet like that. I'm pretty sure if you go 25 to in a typical way, not happy, so it just tells you there. It's got to be in the CIDR form. So 192.168.10.0/24, and the IP address. I'll just bring up our diagram again. So that is 10.16. So let's enter that. The gateway is 10.1. Our name servers is 192.168.10.10 and 192.168.10.14. And I'm going to double check that. So I'm just going to jump back into our machine here. I'm just going to go meldDC1, which is 10.10, and meldDC2, 10.14. Okay, back into meld tape. And the search domain is jtairlines.internal. Save. So save with an enter. That brings us back out here. Now we can see we have a static address, and you can use the up and down arrows as well to get around here, so you don't have to use tab. So that's done. No proxy address for me, and I'm happy with the mirror address where we will get our updates. And I'm happy that we're going to install Ubuntu on the 20 gig disk, not the 1 terabyte disk. So I'm happy to leave all that as default. And we get a bit of a summary. And are you sure you want to blow away this disk? Yes. And then we just need to add name, server name. So it's called Meltape. Actually, I think we put the full name, do we? Meltape dot, no, just Meltape. The username, might just call it tape admin. And then a password. And done. Do I need SSH? No, I don't. I don't need to SSH into the server. So none. Now I don't need any extra software. None. And away we go. And I'll just do one thing while I'm here. I'll just log into LDC1 and I'll just update an A record for our tape server. So DNS. Isn't it nice to see a 2008 R2 server? Just bear in mind, if you're only seeing this video for the first time, it's only going to be a 2008 R2 server for now. I've got some videos coming up where we're going to migrate this up through the various iterations of Windows Server. It's the only reason why I've got 2008 running. So mel tape and the IP address of 10.16, and I'll create a pointer, reverse DNS record. Done, done, done. So this will take a little bit of time because whilst the installation is quite quick, it does do like a round of updates, which takes about 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm just going to stop the recording here and we'll continue on the other end once it's complete. Okay, so that's now installed. So we'll just tab to the reboot now and press enter to remove the CD-ROM. This reboot should only take a moment. So the first thing we need to do after the reboot is, well, we're going to install the Quadstor package, but there are some prerequisite packages that we need to install first. So we'll get that out of the way. So just log in. It's good. So let's start off with, don't like I can't see that properly, that's better. Sudo apt get update and password. And I think it's just sudo apt get upgrade. Yes, please. So this is just upgrading all the packages. So we'll just take a small moment. I'll just pause it while it's just doing its thing. Okay. Right, so the next thing now is to do the prerequisites. There are a few websites, a few forum sites online that tells you what prerequisites are required. I'll put this list in the video details, and should use the sudo. There we go. So we're already at the newest version for this. for that bit of package. So let's do the next one. And again, sudo please. Yes, update. Beautiful. Sudo apt-get install sg3 utils. That's already at the latest version. Get install Apache 2. Oops, didn't spell that right. Yes, please do the update. Lovely. And sudo apt get install. Already the latest for that one. Don't think this one's actually required. Actually, QLogic. Pretty sure that's what it's called. Actually, I don't think this is even required. Maybe it's no longer packaged. I might just leave that. We'll move on to the next one. And we've got the latest of that one as well. And then just this last command. And we need to restart Apache 2. Beautiful. Okay, so I think that's the prereqs for now. So the next bit now is to actually download the Quadstor package. Okay, so to get the Quadstor package, we use a wget function. So this is actually just to download it. And the location is quadstor.com vtl /vtl downloads / and then it's the actual name of the download. Now, depending on what version is current, and you can have a quick look via their website. And let's pop into here, go to downloads, VTL downloads. So what we're installing is the Debian 1011 packages. So it's this file here, and you can kind of see there just in the link at the bottom, that is the location to which we want to grab this file. So if at any time you go to download this package for yourself, just come to this website first just to check to see what the version is, because it might be newer to the one that we're downloading right now. So all I need really is to copy that path. Copy link is the way to go. Let me just backtrack. Actually, I'm not even going to be able to paste that into here, am I? That's okay. Let's just go put that back in. Quadstor.com VTL downloads. And what I've actually done, I think, previously is I've just downloaded the file. Go to my downloads. So that's pretty much the name of the file there. So I might just split these two across so I can see the name. Quadstor-vtl-3.0.68. Let's move the screen across. Sorry if this is a little bit too small to read. Debian-x86 underscore, and what have I done? I've hit the up key. With numlock turned on, so let's quickly do this again. Quadstor.com VTL downloads, Quadstor VTL-ext-3.0.6 8-Debian-x86 underscore 64.deb. Let's have a look at how that looks. It's okay to me. I'll just minimize that. I'll re-expand this and we'll hit enter and we'll see how we go. If it resolves, it's thinking, which is good. Looks like it's found it and downloaded. And then just to do the install, dpkg-i Quadstor. I can tab that out now to the full length file name. And we do need sudo. And this will probably just take a couple of minutes. And once it's complete, we won't need to do anything further at the console level of this Ubuntu server. So I'll just hit the pause for now and we'll come back in just a second. Right, that is now complete. So I'll just leave that as is for the time being. I might just drop back into my client PC, Mel PC1, and we'll open up a browser. One thing I might do, if I haven't already done, is just check that I've got an A record for the new tape server, just to keep DNS all happy. Okay, up zones, jetting lines. Okay, no. Oh yes, no, I do have a tape entry. I think I already did that. Might have did that earlier in the video. So what we'll do, back to the client machine, and let's just go mailtape.jtlines.internal. What that yields us, maybe a bit of HTTPS. Tape.jtlines.internal. Not happy. Okay, there might be just a couple more things we might need to do on this side. The services may not be up and running, so I might just do a sudo reboot. Just ignore the message there. I just took a snapshot of the VM in case I stuffed things up on the install and I had to revert. And here we go. Now I'm certain there isn't anything extra I need to do. Let's just head back into mailtape. Do a refresh. Let's just double check I can be mailtape 10.16. It's definitely tape admin. Is it ifconfig in Linux? pconfig. Need the app tools. I'm definitely made it 10.16. Wouldn't be a problem. Let's see whether or not it's the services. Let's just try the IP address just in case. Okay, so something not quite right with DNS. That's okay, that might be just a configuration setting, but anyways, all good with the IP. So this is just the main console. It's very straightforward. We don't actually need to access, or for the purpose of this lab tutorial, we don't need to access everything in this software. We've got our physical storage, so The 20 gig drive is already, which is the SDA device, has already been assigned, obviously. And it's picked up that we've got this 1 terabyte SDB device. So we'll add that into the pool of storage. So we'll go submit, and that's going to initialize. Do a rescan. Can't do anything just yet, just waiting for it to initialize. There we go. Now it's done. So let's head over to now the virtual libraries, which is pretty much the only place we'll need to come now, unless we configure more storage. So the first thing we need to do is just add a virtual tape library to the software. We can give it a name. We might just call it, yeah, Melbourne BTL. Here you can just choose with some of these vendors. I normally just typically go with HP. No real reason. I'm just more familiar with the HP tape libraries in particular. I know a little bit on the MSL, the 2024s, and especially the 4048s. I'll leave this at the lowest one. I think that gives us, because we're not dealing with a lab that's got terabytes and terabytes of data, but more or less hundreds of gigs of data. I think these are smaller tape drives, maybe 100 gig or something like that. And what we get to see is the use of more tapes. We'll see later on when we're running some backup jobs. It's just nice to see, what it'd be like to use multiple tapes through backup jobs, because Veeam's got a few different capabilities and settings around that. So, if I choose one of the larger scale machine tape drives, basically everything's just going to fit on one tape, and it's just going to roll one tape over from one job to the next. So it's just cool to see more tapes getting used. It's all virtualized, so we can assign as many tapes as we like, up to the amount of storage that we've got, which is 1 terabyte. So depending on how you want to configure your tape library, but there's the ability to just use the one tape drive for your tape library, or if you want to use two. I go with two. There's some settings that we can configure around the use of parallel drives. So I'm just going to leave it at two, and everything else I'm pretty happy as default. I'll just hit submit, and here we see now our two drives attached to our tape library. So again, it's just all virtualized. There's nothing. There's no real physical components here that we're connecting up in this lab. It's all virtualized through this great product called Quadstor. And so the last bit now is just to determine, well, how many tapes have I got? So, there's a LTO1 100 gig tapes, and I'm going to say I'd say I've got 10. Kind of makes sense. 100 gig tapes, 10, and I've got 1 terabyte of storage. And then you can just also give them a bit of a prefix. I might just go JTA 0001. Actually, it might be just 00, and then we'll give it a number afterwards. Worm, write once, read many. We don't want that. We're going to be writing over these tapes multiple times, or the plan will be to. Hit submit. And here we have now our 10 tape drives, 10 tapes. Currently they are active, and they're not loaded into the tape drives. They're just sitting in our library. So that's pretty cool. So that's it from on this side of things now. So now it's time to configure it up in Veeam. So we'll step out of here and we'll head into our VBR server. Okay. So our tape infrastructure is empty. And so the first thing we want to do is add, actually, it's not the first thing we want to do. So first thing is, so this server is going to be our tape server. So we need to make that iSCSI connection to our tape server. So we'll say yes to this. This is pretty straightforward. If you're familiar with iSCSI connections through Windows, there's that screen tearing again. Basically, we just need to enter the IP address really here. And actually, one thing we can do, just to clarify what we're doing, we go into Device Manager. I think we are likely, we'll see two things. Tape library and tape drives should pop up. At the moment, we don't see anything at the moment. If we do a quick connect, and it's got three devices or three targets that's picked up. So it's the autoloader, which is the tape library. So hit connect, and now we see it coming here, the medium changer device. We'll need to update some drivers most likely, and we'll connect our two tape drives. And here they come up down the bottom here. And done. I wonder if this will pick it up automatically. It won't. So what I might do, I might just quickly just pause the video. I might just go and find where I can get these drivers. It's always good to use the native drivers. Just see if it doesn't come up in here. I don't think so. Okay, bear with me. I'm just going to pause. I'm going to search. Once I find it, I'll also obviously let you guys know where I've got the drivers from. So bear with me. So I've just sorted that out. So the HPE store ever tape drives, autoloaders, and tape libraries. The drivers for Windows can be located from the HPE website. I'll put a link in the video description. But you can just go ahead and obtain the software. You will probably need a HPE login, but you can create an account, and that should allow you to get access to the software. So if I go back to the VBR server, this is pretty much everything that it that downloaded expanded out to, and I didn't realize I actually already had this downloaded previously, and you can see now that I've been able to update the tape library drivers. So, and the way that I did that was just going through here, update driver, browse my computer, and then just went to the root level of where I expanded that that download to, and just hit OK and hit next, and it pretty much found it straight away, and now it's fully updated. So happy with that. I'll close that out. Now let's add our tape server. So we're going to make this server mel-vbr the tape server. Obviously, we'll change this up a little bit as in the future. We'll probably have a dedicated tape server and everything. So for now, I'm just going to do everything on the VBR server, and network traffic's fine. And this is all pretty straightforward. Looks pretty easy, doesn't it? Just going to install the tape roll. See a few things happening on the left of screen now. And we can go next. And I won't do an inventory check just yet, because let's do a quick inspection of what we have. So we've got our media pool So one of the types of media pools is called unrecognized. Basically, it's realized that there are 10 tapes in our new library, but we haven't assigned the tapes to any formal pool as of yet. So we'll do that in our next video when we set up our media pools and our backup jobs. And here we've got our tape server. So it's just explaining that mel-vbr is the tape server. And here we have the library. So it's picked up, we've got a HP MSL G3 tape library, and we have a couple of tape drives to go with it. And we can actually see here that more specifically the media that's been detected. So there's these 10 tapes, but as you can see here, they're in the unrecognized media pool. So we'll sort all that out in the next video. So that pretty much concludes setting up the tape library. So we've used Ubuntu as the backbone of the operating system to run the Quadstor application, which is our virtual tape library software. And we've created a nice SCSI network connection from our VBR server to Mel Tape to connect that tape library in. As such, we now can see the tape library and the 2 tape drives on this server. And we've gone into Veeam, added the tape server. It's picked up the tape library and the tape drives and the associated tapes that are in the library. So that's pretty much it. So we're ready to go. So next video we'll configure up the media pools and a subsequent Veeam tape backup job. For now, thanks for watching.